Somebody asked me a question today that gave me an avenue, a mental avenue, into a measure of sympathy for the plight of the real downtrodden and disadvantaged blacks, the ones that live in these really bad communities, like Detroit, like South Chicago, where death and gang culture and gang violence is everywhere. It's all around them. People just die all the time, day by day. In the thousands. And the person asked the question, what do you think if the government decided not to seize the assets of drug dealers or gang kingpins, but offered them the chance to pay it back into the community? Or they themselves paid it back into the community. And I don't know, maybe the latter there is something I should have addressed in my answer to this person. But I interpreted their question as specifically asking the gang members to make a choice to pay that money into their community and to try to build these projects into something. Or these hoods into something. And I said, it's a noble idea, but it will not work. You must attempt to juxtapose. You must attempt to put yourself in the shoes of the person you're talking about or talking to. And I decided to put myself into the shoes of a gang member asked to give the spoils of his gang lifestyle back to the community. And were I that gang member, and somebody told me, why don't you just pay all the money you just earned back into the community? I would have told him, fuck you. Get out of my face before I fucking kill you. How dare you? How fucking dare you? Do you know how much I've struggled for this? Do you know how many of my friends and family I've watched die? I've held them in my arms. I've killed men, stabbed people, beat people, robbed, invaded homes. And you want me, after all I've been through, to give everything I've gained away? Fuck you, you're scum. I can think of no more ugly question to ever ask me. Kill your fucking self. That's what I would say if I was the gangbanger. Dead honest with you. Because what is a gangbanger? A gangbanger, yes, is an evil predator. A gangbanger is a murderer or an abuser at the very least, a pusher, a pimp. But if you think about how much they work, a gangbanger is not a king who grows fat off the land. A gangbanger is not a dictator or a president or an aristocrat or a robber baron or a monopoly holder. A gangbanger is a warrior. And no matter what you think of what they do and how they gain what they gain, there is an honor in having to put your life on the line for what you do every day, to live every day with the ever-present risk of being killed, being approached out of nowhere and killed. Killed, dead. Not somebody talked shit about you on the internet, not somebody called you a racial slur. Somebody walks up to you with a gun, empties the clip into you, and you die. While you're probably on your front porch, while your family screams for help. If you can put yourself in the shoes of that person, think of them more like a soldier. And this is how they style themselves, after all, gangbangers. They are soldiers. And in practice, that is what they are. They are not good soldiers. They do not war for good. They do not necessarily protect anything. Or don't protect anything for the better of anybody around them. But they are soldiers. And the same honorable soldiers who fight in service to this country live the same life and suffer the same fate. In at least some ways, not all, but some ways, as gangbangers, the dredges of our society. And I wanted to contrast that with an SJW, with a communist, with a feminist. No matter how evil a gangbanger is a warrior and a worker. An SJW is a scavenger a coward and a con artist, an opportunist. They are shysters. They fucking take from people through lies, slander, coercion, blackmail. They live their entire lives not as soldiers, not as warriors, not even as pimps or drug pushers, but as liars, frauds. I have far more sympathy for a gangbanger than I do for an SJW. I know in the last video before this one, yesterday, I said I have more respect for a social justice warrior than somebody who says that this discussion should not be had. That I have more respect for a liar and a con artist, a fraud, who foments nothing but division, racism, hatred, promotes sadism, opportunism, selfishness. That is what an SJW does. That is their work. I said I like them more than somebody who says shut up. And I like the gangbanger more than the SJW. Do you know why that is? Because the gangbanger struggles. The gangbanger works. The gangbanger has a code. The SJW is a liar and a fraud, but the SJW does do work. The SJW speaks. The most useless, unproductive, and even destructive, potentially, individual of these three is the one who says, ignore all of this. Ignorance is not an option. The gangbanger agrees that ignorance is not an option. The social justice warrior agrees that ignorance is not an option. The anti-social justice warrior, the reformist, the true liberal, the classical liberal, the conservative, the libertarian, who seek progress, even though they're at the enemies of those who call themselves progressives, because as Winston Churchill says, the real fascists of the future will call themselves anti-fascist. Fascism will come to American shores draped in an American flag. You are living that reality today. Ignorance is not an option. The culture war exists no matter how much you resist the term, no matter how much you cringe at it or it makes you uncomfortable, or you think it's an exaggeration. Well, it's not an exaggeration. That is false. You are not obligated to participate because we are a free country. But never tell us to put our heads in the sand, because that makes you a worse coward than the SJW. And I believe the poisoning of culture that the SJWs are seeing unbelievable, unpredicted success in achieving is more destructive than the gangbanger. The gangbanger can only end the lives and ruin the lives of his immediate area. A single social justice warrior can ruin a country. Think about that.